I grew up in church. Both my parents were saved and brought me to church at a young age. Went through middle school, high school, and student ministry, even led worship in church. I thought that God was this all-powerful creator, and he created me, and people said that he loved me a lot, and that if I followed him, life would turn out all right. Well, I did have a friend growing up in high school. He went through a really hard time. He wasn't going back to the church or to God for help. He was kind of finding his own solutions. When I tried to fix him, which I thought I could do, and failed at that, I tried his solutions. Basically, he would go to parties on the weekends and drink, and so I started going to parties and drinking and showing up fine Sunday morning or at school or whatever. The solution was to just feel good and do whatever you could do to feel good. So it's just this pursuit of happiness kind of became like the core value. So you just translate that to college. I'm away from my family, away from church, and eventually it wasn't just like on the weekends and partying. Then it was, drinking every day, missing class. And so I started to get a lot of my values from pursuing this identity as like everyone's friend, and the really sociable, outgoing guy. But the party would end, or those friends would leave, and I'd be by myself, and I would still want to get that kind of like high, and so I wouldn't be looking at people anymore. I'd turn to substance, and I would feel that buzz of excitement or that happiness again. And I never saw myself as that, right? Like, oh, I'll just drink, I'll never smoke weed. And then I'm smoking weed. Oh, I'm just smoking weed, it's harmless. And then I'm trying these psychedelics and getting into that. And cocaine, that's a hard drug. I'm not gonna do that, until I did. One day I popped into my sister's pain medication and stole her pain medication. That was pretty low. My value systems were defined by me, and I was in control of my life. So obviously God was not. In college, my first semester was fine. My second semester started to take a dive, and my parents knew something was up. So they'd ask me about it, and they were so compassionate. They were like, "What's going on? Can we help you with this?" And I just kept lying to them. But all that time, there was a mentor in my life named Jimmy Gavala, and he would just tell me so many of these true things about God and try to show me this life that I could live. And I would just smile and nod, just like this, and I wouldn't take any of it to heart. My values those years pretty much consisted of, yeah, maybe there's a God, and maybe this Jesus thing does make sense, in my head, but, when I want to feel good or I want to live life my way, I'm God, and I'm going to make that decision, I'm going to make that choice, and when God's convenient, I can go back to Him. I can talk about Jesus on Sundays. I know God still loves me, so I might as well go out and do what I want to do. I did a couple treatment things and saw some therapists. I ended up in like my third treatment center in Prescott. That night, I was planning my escape, so I didn't think I needed to be there. I thought I was better than everyone else there. I wasn't as bad as them, and that turned into an argument with God, where I was also like, this is horrible. Like, my life is at a bottom, and God, if you exist, why would you make someone like me, whose only purpose seems to be to lie to everyone and just keep messing up like this? Why don't you just fix me? I prayed to God that night, and I said, God, help me give up, because I couldn't even surrender. So God, help me surrender, and He did. I was able to take the next steps and get involved in programs and take help from people for the first time in my life, honestly, admitting that I was wrong and powerless and accepting His help. And I went to church, during that time in Prescott, but this time in the Bible studies, it wasn't just head knowledge. I was actually surrendered and actually gave my life over to God, and I had serenity in my life. I had peace. The happiness I had, it was new. It was a new happiness that came from God and not from myself. After about 9 months in Prescott, I ended up moving back home, started to meet up with Pastor Jimmy again, and he started to really disciple me, which is a whole lot better when I was actually willing. And I got plugged into some really good support groups over at Northridge. Today I've been sober 2.5 years. I get to spend most of my hours either playing rock and worship music with different worship teams, or working with guys at a rehab center who are getting sober just like I did, or hanging out with those crazy youth kids. For most of my life, I ran life my way, and I had my set of values. My best efforts and my best work got me to the bottom. Now that I've been living with God and surrendered to Him, my life is full of so much more purpose, and my life actually feels like it has value. It all comes back to God. He gives me that purpose.